Hello everyone, I hope you all are back in front of your screens because now we are beginning with the next session for the day, which is by Noida chapter. It is about t-shirt sizing model for DevOps COE, and we have Bharti Goel Maan, who is VP APAC, SAP Business and COE at Capgemini, talking about this wonderful topic. And now I would like to call upon Bharti on microphone and webcam and share her valuable insights with us. So over to you, Bharti.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And I can see a good attendance today joining us. Thank you so much, all of you who are the enthusiasts. And, as I think I have just been made the presenter, so I'll include my, just one sec. I think it will not otherwise include the media sound. Yes. It's there, okay. Thanks everyone. So today the endeavor of the program is to understand how DevOps model itself is emerging and how the organizations in the new era of the work, where it's very difficult to quantify the work, where the work has become very agile and where it's very difficult to control the work packages, how exactly we can take the benefit of t-shirt sizing approach to make sure that we are more aligned to our customers, we are doing better with them, and we can provide them with certain insights that they need on day-to-day basis. So the endeavor, I will not try to coach much on on the DevOps model, but to refresh and to build the story, I think it's very important that we go through the fundamentals of agile and DevOps that are going to be applicable for the t-shirt sizing approach. Then what are the market trends that are driving this transformation, this adoption of t-shirt sizing model, how t-shirt sizing is going to make. So I'm going to refer to some real life examples and some real life use cases for the t-shirt sizing model. One of the things today that we are operating in a very agile environment. Over the last 2 years, there have been a lot of circumstances where businesses had to respond very quickly to the requirements. Either they needed a faster time to market because there was a product whose validity will itself expire if the season changes, or if the customer preferences changes, or because of the COVID situation. For example, procurement of the school bags, procurement of the automotive, it suddenly got changed. So we saw that the rate of the business change, the rate at which the businesses were forced to reach to the customers and change the way they were reaching to the customer, was changing at a very fast speed. The time to reaction was very low. The organizations, they were looking for digital opportunities. I'm sorry about the noise behind me. It's just that some people don't understand how to manage the traffic, and sorry. So the digital opportunities is, the customers and the businesses, they were looking for end-to-end processes to be digitized, because there was no further opportunity that they will have a touch point with a salesperson, or they may be able to visit a store. So all those opportunities were gone. So now, earlier there was a possibility that you could do something partially online. For example, book a test drive online and then go to the showroom, do a test drive and then initiate the procurement and everything in automotive scenario, in a dealer's scenario. But now with COVID changing, the customers, they really wanted everything to be end-to-end digitized. They wanted everything except for the test drive. Even for the test drive, they were expecting the car to be brought to their doorstep. All those things had to be digitized. There had to be a lot of flexibility, that people were looking in the architecture, the way they could personalize the services. The number of channels through which the services were being consumed also increased drastically. And in fact, it has happened over the last 5-6 years. It's just that the speed to change it became. So the customer, so the businesses that could offer this agility, this speed, they were clearly the winners, you know. Now, DevOps, it helped them bridge the gap, because DevOps is not about making drastic changes to your business. It's not about refactoring. It's not about changing something overnight or taking drastic architectural decision. It is like, you know, think big, build small. You can break the silos. You can do the continuous integration and continuous development. You can deploy the features that you want with a faster efficiency. There are more agile teams that you can plan, because sometimes in year 2021 we also faced a huge attrition in the organization, a huge attrition in the industry. All these skill sets were not always available, you know, the teams were constrained. In this scenario, the agile and the DevOps methodologies, they allowed organizations to quickly change the business priorities and refactor their teams, you know, and reorganize their teams to deliver what is available based on the supply side of the skill set, supply side of the talent. And that really helped the organizations. It helped them with tools, it helped them with processes, it helped them with people, because you could take care of a lot of cultural aspects, you could take care of a lot of sensitivities around the people, around the uncertainties around the process, regularity, compliances, and all these things. And they were allowed to think in an unconstrained manner, that okay, there is uncertainty in this particular user story, let's just postpone it till we get the right clarity or till the right thing emerges. ADM, as most of you know, it is application development and maintenance. And Agile and DevOps, they only are applicable to these two scenarios. You know, whether we are offering any kind of disruptive services, any kind of business focused services, any kind of transformative services like, you know, microservices, modernizations, cloud security. In this scenario, DevOps and Agile, the key things that they offer is they offer you a possibility to scale. You know, when you earlier you were doing the same things, even now you have to do the same things. It's just that you have to do it at a bigger scale. Similarly, earlier you were doing it just for 2 people, now you have to do it for 20 people. Just 2 business departments were doing it, now all the business departments have to do. So the projects have to go ahead, the scale has to change. You know, your production line, your platform as a service, your implementation services, everything, even your COEs that you have within your organization, everybody requires it. So I am coming particularly from SAP, which is more about enterprise applications, where DevOps for us gives a flexibility that, you know, we can offer the basic enterprise application services, and we can continuously keep moving to a place where we have complete automation, complete CI/CD, and it's very agile framework for us. So for us, it is an opportunity to break the barriers, break the limitations of an enterprise product. SAP offers certain functionalities and it does not offer certain functionalities. It is highly agile. It helps you integrate with multiple third-party service providers. There are a lot of tools that you can bring in to improve the efficiencies. There's a lot of RPA opportunities, analytics and cloud opportunities. For us in SAP, DevOps, it helps us bring the right maturity to the systems. It helps us really go from, as we call it, crawl to run, you know, and that too for longer duration. It's not that you run a short sprint and then you sit back. So number of agile projects is increasing, and the contracting models for the organizations, they are evolving. Our clients are experimenting with different contracting models. Time and material used to be the favorite, you know, because that would give a bigger control to the CIO on what they want to do, and it would give a bigger control to the service provider that, okay, you don't want to do this, let's not do this. They could provide, offer the people with right skill set, and it was a completely risk free model for the system integrators, because they did not own any delivery. All they owned was the performance of the people. Then the model changed to a fixed price engagement, where we would work on a work package, where we would take a particular set of the people package, and we will say that, okay, you don't have to worry about a skill set, you don't have to worry about this person coming in and you needing this person only for 2 months. It's all our problem now, we will deliver it to you. But CIOs were wary of this model because it did not allow them to change the requirements in between. If something changes in their business environment, they cannot change anything. There is complicated process of change requests. There's complicated process of customer interaction. Recontracting has to be done. Procurement has to be involved. Different quality assurance departments have to be assured. So it becomes a little complicated for them. Then there is time boxed, capped time and material contract, that okay, you do this thing, let's say as a ballpark estimation, you will do it in 10 days. If anything more than that, it's your risk. If anything less than that, it's your benefit. So there was a lot of models and permutation combinations that have been in place over the last 2 years, which either shift the risk to either of the parties, which shift the risk of scope, price, time, as the three things that we call as the three variables of a project, to either party. And then we started seeing the emergence of the t-shirt sizing model, which kind of came as a win-win thing. It gave us a lot of flexibility to define a two-dimensional t-shirt sizing model or a three-dimensional. So the key thing was that we define the smallest possible work package, within a client's environment, a user story. Uh, and the user story can be a RISE for a use case can be broken into multiple user stories. Multiple user stories can be defined into multiple work packages, and each work package can have a t-shirt size. So where if it is in terms of efforts alone, then maybe something which required 2 days could be a small t-shirt sizing model. If you're working on highly complex, say, basis administration, or you are working on something like Fiori objects. Otherwise, whatever you wish to do, if you're developing a Java based code, or if you're making changes to your e-commerce portal or something, depending on the complexity of the integrations, how many integrations you have to do, how many reports you have to deliver, how much of cloud things you have to do, how much of quality audit you have to do, all those things led to the complexity definitions, and it led to an effort estimation. So a simple report could be a extra small t-shirt sizing model, that okay, you just need a simple report, some data needs to be pulled and presented to you. And then a complicated dashboard on a mobile, it could be your extra large t-shirt size, and you can define that, okay, extra large, to do a define a work package, a extra small work package, I'll take 2 days, and to do an extra large, I'll probably take 22 days. So those kind of things, it's perfectly possible for the users to define, which gives you a lot of flexibility. And since you're doing these scrums every day in the morning, you get the definition, okay, this is what needs to be done, and then people can raise their cards that, okay, this is an extra small t-shirt sizing, or we need this extra information, and then end of the day you can achieve this particular thing. This is a real life demo model that we built for a automotive manufacturer. They have a captive in India, and they have a large business team in this for the web technologies and for the MS Dynamics CRM, where we defined that, okay, because we have to be very cognizant of the team also. End of the day, we will build a team of a certain skill set, and you have to bring that entire skill set into picture, and you have to make sure that the team is well utilized. So there are a lot of commitments that have to emerge. So we said that, okay, every day in the team we will be taking almost 2 user stories which are extra small, 6 stories that are small, medium, large, extra large. This is the kind of effort estimation which will be there. Number of user stories again were defined for each skill set. The efforts were defined for each skill set. And we said that, okay, we will give you a team which comprises of, let's say, an HTML guy, an Android guy, a Java guy, and a database, a Oracle person. So together it will be a 4-people team. It will be a 4 man days of work per day. And then you can define that, okay, these are the user stories that need to be done, and they will be done by these people over the 2 days. So it's anything done beyond the average efforts, that is a risk to the supplier. So you have to be very smart, very calculative. You have to keep your right contribution margin. You have to keep your right contingency at each level. And the key to the t-shirt sizing is also the bundling of the things. End of the day, you cannot say that every day I'll be doing all these simple user stories, extra small user stories, which is not going to help you in leveraging your team. So you have to not just tell that, okay, this is the average effort estimate and cost for my t-shirt sizing. You also have to tell them that, okay, every day we will do this combination of t-shirts. So many extra small, so many, the bundling of the t-shirts is really, really important. But they can be very high. So if we give you these for SAP, this is how we create. There was a material management planning that we were doing. So we created a team which comprised of a product owner, scrum master, usability engineer, solution architect, UX and UI designer, then the functional experts, like for example, somebody running on sales and distribution functional expert, somebody who's a warehousing management functional expert, somebody who's a finance functional expert. So there was a team of functional experts, application architect and application engineers. There was a mix of this team. And then based on the capabilities of this team, we defined the user stories. you know uh, there has to be complexity was based on the number of enhancements. So um, if it is a build project, then it could be specifications in terms of build. Otherwise, it could be in terms of the tickets that are being raised, transactions, screens, um, you know, uh, processing, interfaces, and Jira boarding was used. Every user story could involve interface design, performance design, code reviews, test case reviews. There were user acceptance testing, there was system integration testing. Everything was clubbed, and then that is how it happened. It also included our basis activities, any kind of hardware setups that needed to be done. So that is what contributed to the definition of complexity. Uh, then the efforts and the functional and technical aspects contributed to the effort estimation, and that's how we planned it. So if I give you the example, there was a user story which said that save the parameter in a calculation page. When you put all the parameters in the calculation page, now those parameters have to go back to your HANA database when you click all the parameters on the save button. So the first thing was to provide the API to save the parameters, and second thing was to call the API. It was a simple, very simple user story with very little man days efforts. But since the number of fields was very high, our man days calculation was 3 and 1, and we expected that including your integration, including your user acceptance testing, your all testing and validations and data cleansing requirements, it will be something like 8 man days. Similarly, displaying of the vehicle information, displaying of the transition information on the things, because when the car or the vehicle gets sold, in the old vehicles market, the automotive manufacturers are now taking a note that, okay, this is how luxury vehicle is moved from one person to another person. So they are keeping a track, and the main requirements, user requirement of the story was, I want price to be calculated by the profile configuration, transaction volume, so that I get the default price of the customization of the vehicle. You know, what the customer is looking for, what the customer really wants. How we did it. It was simple. Today, our team has become a pro at defining the t-shirt sizes. Our team has become pro at defining the DevOps model, how it will work. Our Scrum masters, they are very good at everyday morning scrums, allocation, tracking of the tasks, and the CI/CD things are working very well for us. Another example of the user stories is like, there is a simple email notification that needs to go when something happens. It's a extra small user story, and it is an effort of only 5 hours. You know, when you are doing a text code capturing, that is, text code capturing has to come from multiple places. You have to do some verifications at the back end. So it is still a small user story, but it has high complexity because the verifications have to be done from 6 or 7 backend places. The Kanban labeling is a small t-shirt sizing. So you can say here the user story size and the complexity size is together leading to an effort. Here, the combination is a little different. It's not just the t-shirt, but also the complexity of the t-shirt that we are talking about. So, you know, these two things are very important for us. We always say to the customers that when we are working on the t-shirt size model, there are few things which are very important for us. Okay. First thing that we always talk about is a location. I mean, what is the business model that client is looking? If you're looking to host the team in one location, then, and physically, you know, many of our clients actually had people working from their plants even during the lockdown phases. So the location became very, very important for us, and the ratio of the onshore to offshore resources was very important, because the way you can assign the things and the people who have to agree to the user stories have to be face to face in front of each other. So we derived the locations based on their rate cards, location rate cards. You know, that was very important, because small t-shirt size done by an onshore resource versus an offshore resource is a very different thing, right? So that is something that you have to be, first thing you have to tell your client that, you know, let's build on a right combination. The second thing that we talk to the client is about this operating model. Sorry. I Yeah, this, sorry, I'm just trying to take
Bhati, your screen is blank for us.
is it
Yeah.
uh, is it fine now?
Yes. Yes, it is fine.
Okay, so I was just trying to take a pen. You know, I don't know how to take that pen. I wanted to take a laser pointer. Yeah, now it's, so the operating model is another thing that we tell the people that that is very important, because operating model should, whether the operating model is inclusive of your governance, whether it is inclusive of the architects, testing, you know, what is the sprint team comprising of, that model has to be defined very clearly. What is the scope of the work? You know, how exactly will the governance work? The third thing which we tell the clients to be very careful is about the productivity, because end of the day, every scrum team, it is a fixed set of people. There are, let's assume there are 4 functional architects, there are 4 technical people, there are 2 subject matter experts, there are 3 people who are the testing people, and out of them there is only 1 person who's adept on tools. that makes a huge difference to the stories that you can handle within different teams. So one team may be able to handle more complex stories versus there may be another team which may be able to handle only simple user stories. You also have to be cognizant what is the number of user stories you're getting. So ticket sizing, the number of tickets you will define, the number of user stories you will define, the work packages. You have to be very clear about those things. Otherwise, you will end up having the teams which are working on 80% productivity or 70% productivity, and rest of their time is going waste. Or maybe you are overloading the team so high that you see high attrition. We expect the clients to work on the pyramid model because we always tell them that you have architects in the team. If you have architects in the team, then maybe you don't need so many people um, with so many people with complex technical know-how. But if at the same time the work packages are defined around middleware, if they are defined around integration, then sometimes it becomes important to have a different kind of pyramid for them. Technology skill set, t-shirt specification in itself is the most important thing for us, because you have to be very clear that you have estimated it correctly. You are not missing out on any of the part. End of the day, each t-shirt is a complete SDLC in itself. And you have to be right to the extent that sometimes it can be 2 hours for a task, 5 hours for a task. We are in IT industry. A database changes could be, that okay, it takes only 15 minutes to make a database changes. So it's 0.25 hours. So it's that kind of um, micro level stuff that you have to be very careful about. Otherwise, your effort estimates will be completely gone for a toss. Another thing that you have to work on, what is your contingency? What are your local language, CSL kit requirements? Is there any hypercare which is associated with your t-shirt size, that okay, I did this particular screen, I made changes to the Fiori applications or made changes to these Android applications. Now, how many days I have to support it? Um, in your t-shirt sizing model, you also have to account for the non-development efforts, like what is the effort that I'm going to spend in meetings, because every user story has to be discussed. And there are many instances where the client will say no, it's a medium user story, medium and low complexity user story, and you will say no, it is a high complexity user story. So those small negotiations will happen on a day-to-day basis, and you have to be very careful. How many sprint demos, how many meetings, what is the pattern of negotiation, how will you agree to these things? That is very important. Then sometimes you may not have the hardware. This is really the most pathetic thing which I have seen. There is one person who resigns and the other person who comes, his laptop is not in place, his all credentials are not in place. The work may be 1 hour, but the creation of the credentials on the server, it takes 4 hours. So how will that entire transition work? How will the people on board? How will the people leave the meetings, leave the projects? How will they hand over the different things from development to maintenance? All those things you really need to be very careful. So this slide, in my opinion, is always the most important slide. These are really the things that you have to be very careful. This is, I think, very specific to SAP, and it's only because I felt more comfortable in explaining it on SAP. But process, people, and tool, it's nothing new to a person who's already familiar with DevOps. um, we live on CI/CD and Agile. Business alignment is the most important. People have to be very collaborative, because without collaboration, without right agreement between the teams, the client and the SI teams, or between the business process owners and you, there is nothing which is going to work. Everything will fail. SAP systems are monolithic. but we routinely work on DevOps model for the success factor, for their business networks, logistics business network, HR business network, procurement business network. All these things are very routine for us. So we have taken our SAP DevOps model to multiple areas, and you should also start thinking about the same thing. There is no limitation. You can define your DevOps model based on the client needs. What is the volatility in their portfolio? What is the infrastructure requirements? As I said, what are the platforms on which you're working? Whether your DevOps is only for SAP or you're working on a combination of SAP plus Java plus Dynamics plus say cloud. So character of the application, the complete bundle of the application, the service level requirements that you have, the compliance requirements, the governance requirements, all these things are very important when you're defining any kind of business model or any kind of t-shirt based sizing based model for your client. You have to be talking about centralized services, decentralized services, and the models can be accordingly chosen by your clients. This is the advantage that you have in end-to-end DevOps journey, and t-shirt sizing makes it easier for you to measure, the assessment, the initiative is easier because now you can go to your business users, you can say, oh, only this much work needs to be done. Please send it to the DevOps team. We will plan it accordingly. Sometimes you can say that, okay, you need only 20% of the work to be done on priority. So, okay, DevOps team will take that 20% of the work on priority. So we can do product stream wise, we can do stakeholder wise, we can manage the dependencies better. The CIOs can manage the dependencies and priorities of their business teams better. Similarly, assessment becomes easy because you are identifying and working on everything at a very granular level. And this also means that you're not making any drastic changes to the enterprise architecture, to the application architecture. It's more about working on the microservices and micro things that you're doing. The transformation becomes visible, the business becomes happy because they can see the results coming. They can see that, okay, chalo, this much has been done. Let me wait now. That second thing will come because they can see something coming, right? Minimum viable products keep coming, and then they know that, okay, the work has started happening and then it will be completed also. And then if something goes wrong for the business, if something is not acceptable to the business, that feedback mechanism is also very strong because you're not wasting too much of effort. There's only a small piece of work done. There's only one t-shirt or one user story which is done. So your risk is only related to that user story. It's not very high. These are some of the things that we talk about the fundamentals, and I just spoke about these fundamentals, that each t-shirt has pre-negotiated fixed prices. There is a pre-negotiated fixed scope, and every time it needs to be discussed. Those principles have to be agreed. You have to agree on the sprint backlog, what is the kind of sprints that you are planning. Sometimes what is the life cycle that you're talking about. And businesses as well as the organizations, they see it as an intermediary between the fixed price and T&M, because the user stories are in their control. The CIO may say that, okay, I want only 20 user stories to be done per week, not more than that. So they can have a very good control on the user stories and other things, and their budgets, which is really, really useful. They can prioritize very quickly. It's simple. Contracting helps them a lot. So these are some of the situations where the t-shirt sizing model can be applied. For example, if you have a flexible pyramid requirement, that is where your t-shirt sizing model helps, because the vendor may come up with a DevOps factory. In the factory model, you can quickly change the pyramid. It's easy for us that, okay, today there are 2 people, with less than 5 years experience. Tomorrow we can change it to 3 people with less than 5 years of experience. So the pyramid flexibility is there. The scope and switching between the features and execution is very important. The client may say that, okay, in the month of January, we will focus on everything related to warehousing management. Whereas in the month of February and March, please give us a sprint team where you have more consultants with financial background, FICO background, because March is our year end closing. We may see more requirements coming over there. Then obviously we discussed that it is neither fixed price nor time and material. It is something in between, and it helps the business users also understand that nothing is going to change overnight. It's think big, build small, piece by piece, piece by piece, piece by piece. So agile, they also learn to be agile. They also learn to be better aligned with CIO, and they learn to reap the benefits of that entire digital transformation. I think this is it from my side, Nupur. If there are any questions, I can take them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vadi. This was indeed a wonderful session. And we have a couple of questions that has come, and we have 12 minutes in hand, so we will try to answer as many as we can during that time. So let me come to the first question by Shantanu. It's a bit of a longer question. I'll go slow on it. So he is saying how you estimate for the whole project upfront in an agile development environment in t-shirt size for contracting when essentially it is not fixed what needs to be done and the work is decided on the go, how it remains agile, also how you justify the wasted time or the estimation upfront. I think there are different aspects in this question, so you can probably go one by one.
So Shantanu, about the wasted time, it's the most important thing is that it takes the organization to a maturity. There is a learning. Most of the time, the t-shirt sizing approach is taken when the organization has already experimented and dirtied their hands with agile and DevOps, when they know how to define the work packages. Similarly, when we are working with the users on agile estimation and other things, we always supplement our estimation with the right user stories, right examples. So we are, I can talk about SAP. In SAP, we have something called a process library, right? Business process library. That business process library is defined at L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, and sometimes to L6 level, right? L6 level is simply oversimplified, drilled business process at the simplified level. How do you club that L6 to L5? It becomes medium. When it clubs from medium, L5 to L4, it becomes a little bit of high complexity medium and then large size. So we work, the initial days of DevOps contracting are very high. The sales teams and the RFP solution architects that they spend a lot of time in defining those processes, example processes, RICEF definition, and every RICEF is categorized that, okay, this report goes into a simple category, this interface goes into a simple category, this interface goes into a medium category. So the idea here, it's the contracting is never easy, right? So you have to identify the right examples, you have to define the right processes, and then solution architects are smart guys, right? It's the smart developers on both the sides, at the customer side, at our side also. So everybody knows when you are jacking up the efforts, there are productivity figures that everybody has taken into account. So that helps us quite a lot. And also when it
can I just add a little bit? So sorry, Nupur, I just enabled my audio. So Bhakti, that's very good. But the concern I have is how do you estimate upfront for the whole project? Because if you do project in an agile way, the benefit is you can change it in the middle, depending on the outcome you need. So the process we talked about upfront, T-shirt sizing and estimation for the contract, how you put that in the contract, because the scope will change as you go.
Exactly. So that is what I'm saying, that in the user stories, you define that, okay, this user stories, this kind of user stories will fall into this T-shirt size. You never estimate for the whole contract. You never estimate for the whole thing. You just estimate for a user story. So I give you an example. If let's assume that we are talking about a project in vendor invoicing management, right? Vendor invoicing is a big complicated project in itself, and we know the business processes within vendor invoicing. We know the vendor processing within, let's say, yard logistics. We understand what are the business processes, what is the kind of tasks that are there, and using those tasks we define that, okay, these are the business processes that you could ask us. This business process will require so much of effort for a functional guy. This kind of business process will require so much of efforts of tester, technical guy, basis guy, soulman guy, cloud guy, and all these people come together, and we just give that, okay, this is the example. So defining those 4 or 5 examples in front of medium T-shirt size, that, okay, these 5 things, they fall in medium T-shirt size for us. These 5 things, they fall in large T-shirt size for us. These 5 things fall under small T-shirt size for us. That is very important, because then you can correlate, right?
Yeah, I got it. For the interest of time, I'll not continue. Sorry, Nupur. I jumped in there.
No, you can connect with me later on. I can explain it
to
you.
No problem. Sure.
Sure, thank you, Shantanu, for the question.
Very important.
Yeah. So, but we have 6 minutes. Let's take up a few more questions. One question from Gauri. She's asking, is the T-shirt size is done in points or hours?
Generally, it is done on points. I tell you, I'll give you another example. There was a client which was asking us to do the Android app, the Fiori app for them, and which should work on Android, on iPad, and also it was a digital twin Industry 4.0 kind of thing. There, the work packages were large. It was easy for us to define those work packages in terms of even the man days. But then there was another client which was looking for GXS to PO migration. Now that was a middleware migration, involved a lot of EDI efforts and all. Now one EDI, generally when you're doing one GXS, you can migrate the whole thing, including testing and everything, migrated in less than 1 day, right? So in such circumstances, everything had to be given in terms of number of hours. But now the estimation was being done by people with 2 different skill sets. One place you had highly technical middleware experts, another set you had highly expert functional experts. So it just depends what kind of project you are taking. But we took the PO migration project on the DevOps model, because it was more than 9,000 processes to be orchestrated. It was a huge project, 5 million plus project. So that's how it is.
There's another question by Prashant Gulwadi, is asking, what is the variability in effort observed if a new person is working on each type the first time? Capability varies. This is just highlighting that.
Yeah, that's where our pyramid comes. Productivity and everything is there. So initially, we generally see that people do have 10 to 15% variability in the productivity in onboarding, but most of the people that we hire as to work with the organization, they are very quick to adapt, very early to adapt, very smart people. So within 1 or 2 weeks, they manage their productivity and they are good to go.
All right. So Karthik is asking, Bhati, how do you manage conflicting priorities? For example, DevOps team is a shared services team, so they get work from different app teams. So how do you manage that?
When the tickets are raised, every ticket is assigned a priority by a team, right? For example, if the tickets are coming from finance team and related to taxation, they are always given the priority one. Similarly, everything which is related to network hardware, that is always given a priority one. So it's not really we who define this. It is our clients who define the priorities, and then we only manage the teams and the governance based on the service line, the service level agreements. So whatever SLAs we define, that's how we do it. And then service level agreements are also defined in terms of the maximum number of user stories that we will do. So we do, there is a range which is defined, and we move 20% here on both the sides of that range and try to manage the SLAs to that level. So otherwise, it's a governance team's work which is done.
Okay, there's another question by Shantanu is asking, what is flexible pyramid? You change the team as and when you feel. Who decides about the change of team?
So we call it factory model. It's called mutualization of the resources, right? Now, if I have to talk to you, for example, if we are talking about yard logistics or the basis work related to basis, then we are doing it, let's assume, for 5 customers over 5 things, because it's a work package based approach. The customer, we keep it translucent. The customer doesn't know who are the actual team members working on it. But in the back end, I have a factory model. So if something comes, which is a low complexity, I can use more of freshers or more of low experience resources, and if it is a complicated work where something is stuck, or then we use, because in the factory model that flexibilities exists, and since we are mutualizing those resources among 5 people or 5 customers, it works very well for us.
All right, Bharti, thank you for answering all the questions. We have a couple more, but in the interest of time, we have to close the session here. Thank you for your time, for presenting and taking all the questions. And thanks to our participants for putting forward some interesting questions.
Yeah, just one answer to Prashant. I know that you are interested in knowing about estimation. Unfortunately, I am now out of core estimation methodologies. This is something which is done better by my solution architects. So I'm not that hands-on for a very long time. Estimation is something which is core part of my COE, but I know if something is a little wrong, if somebody says me, Bharti, it can be done in 100 man days, then based on my experience, I can say that it should be done around 70 man days. Or what do you think, it can be done in 100? No, I think I have never seen any client where it was done in less than 150 man days. So that I can tell, but trust me, I have lost touch with the with RICE-up definition and estimation.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bharti. It was wonderful 50 minutes with you.
Thanks. Thanks, team.